We're into our third video now in this little mini series, making a 3D printed little maze game here. This is the element we're looking at the moment, the actual maze wall elements. What I want to look at now are making the cutouts for where the hole is going to fall down, or and something's gone wrong with my camera there. What's going on with the camera? I'm not entirely sure. So the cutouts and as well the cutouts where the ramps are going to be in place, and I'm going to look at making the ramps as well. Okay, so let's just, having had that strange camera glitch there, let's have a see what we have. To make these cutouts where the ball is going to fall down, what I'm going to bring here is I'm going to bring in a hole. Okay, I want to make sure I can see the hole here. I'm going to make sure that this has, make sure here that I click on the corner resize handles. It wants to have a length there of 10. I'm going to tab this or click over here. That's going to be 10 and then press enter to finish. And then the height of this I'm going to have as 4. Now remember again, I've got my snap grid here to 2 millimeters. That's going to make my life so much easier. Now I'm going to have a look at this from above, and what I can do now, of course, is I can grab this and I can drop it in and start to place where I want to have my holes in the maze. Now, these want to be placed so not overlapping any of these wall reference points, but in the gaps between the walls. So that would be a good place there. Okay, because I've got a 2 millimeter gap here for that wall to run along, 2 millimeter gap here for that wall to run along, and it's going to be in line with that wall coming along here as well. So that'd be a good place. Let's just copy and paste that. Let's do another one, and that one would be over here, for example, and then I can do another one, and that one, for example, could be up there. So again, I can see that that wall is going to pass along here, that wall's going to run up there, etc. I could even take this wall here, I could copy and paste it, I could drag it across to here, and then I could run that wall up, something like that. Now, let's just see what's happening. I can now see there's a problem with the length of this wall. This wall is not the right length because I'm wanting to have it so that it's either going to run up to here, which is basically the edge of this wall here, or it's going to run along to, let me get this right here, to this point here, because then it's going to be in line with that wall section there. So I've always, needing to use these beige kind of wall reference elements here to help guide my design. And there's no reason why at this point I couldn't copy those and I couldn't position those over there, and then in the same way copy those and position them up here, and then I've got, like wall reference points on all 4 edges of my maze design. And of course, as before, I can grab my ball, I can bring it in here, and I can see how the ball is going to roll around and potentially fall down these pits and things. Now, obviously, I'm just kind of throwing things in here, whereas on this design here, I've actually had a plan, position things with a bit more care. I think what I'm going to do here is actually select this right now, and I'm going to ungroup this, and you'll see what we have. Okay, now I've actually made it so that my horizontal walls are orange rather than my vertical being red, because when I was doing this the first time around, I felt that would be useful to kind of differentiate the two. I don't know whether it is now. I think doing them already is absolutely fine. I also selected this base element here, and I also changed the color of that, so perhaps things were just sticking out or showing a little bit more clearly. What color did I use there? Did I choose that one? Did I choose that one? I don't know what color I chose, but probably that one there. Yes, it's probably that one there. Okay, and you can see there my holes there are appearing for I want the marble to run through. Let's just have a hole on the side here, which is going to be for the ramp coming up the side to allow the ball to escape the traps. So just to confirm here, there's my ball. When this is in place, if the ball falls down through one of these traps, then I need to get it into its bottom corner here, and then I want to be able to roll it up this ramp and back onto the maze. So that's what I'm talking about with these ramps and these long kind of rectangular cutouts. Okay, so let's just copy that cutout there. I'm now going to bring it in, and I can work in this 3D view here. I like the idea of working in the 2D view, but if everything's snapping in and working nicely, I could work in this view. And I want to have here enough space for this ball to basically have 1, 2, 3 kind of openings, or the first the first corridor here is going to be for the ball to roll into this space in the base of the box, and I've got two corridors here showing the length of that ramp. So that's the model I'm going to go with. So I'm going to have it so that that's going to be where the ball appears, and then I'm going to have it so that that ramp is going to come up two hole cutouts like that. That's 24 millimeters. Now you could make this short if you wanted to. It would just mean that the angle of the wedge ramp would be a lot steeper, and you'd have to tilt the maze a lot more steeply for the ball to come up. But that's your choice. I'm personally going to put that at 24. Okay. Now then, the last thing I need to do with the maze here, assuming that I've got all my traps in place with these hole cutouts, I've got all my walls in place, and it's all following my plan. It's got to be fun to follow. There's a start, there's an end. The last thing I'm going to do here is get the base, or the penultimate thing. I'm then going to pull this base at 2 millimeters so it's in line with everything else. And then I'm going to put a bounding box. Now, here's the problem. I've got to be careful with the bounding box. If I put a bounding box here, then I'm going to select these guiding marks. So actually, having put those guides in for the walls, I'm going to have to delete those because now I can get my selection tool. I can put a bounding box around this. I can group it all together, and what happens is it makes one solid model, and you can see that that model has a base, it has the traps, it has the entrance point here. In fact, looking at that entrance point, look, it's wrong. The entrance point is wrong because this cutout here wants to extend right to the end. Okay, that looks good there. Okay, so let's just try that again. Click off. I'm going to select all of this. Let's go to group. Yes, and there we are. We're going to have our starting ramp. The ball's going to come around here. I need to add some maze elements here. There's some traps. That's looking really great. I love it. Now, one thing just very quickly that was evident in my first maze here was like a scoring system. And you know what? There's no reason why you couldn't add some numbers to this. Now, I've just thought of this right now, but we could bring some text in. Let's see what we can do with this. I'm going to have like 1 point. Come on. Thank you very much. I'm going to scale that right down there. Okay, now I'll let you kind of work on what size you want that text to be. I'm also going to control the height of that. I think the height wants to probably be, got to be careful here because if it's too thick, then it's going to stop the motion of the ball. So maybe what I want to do here is set this to 0.5 millimeter. What I want to do is perhaps bring that to 0.5 millimeter in thickness. I'm actually going to make it hollow. Whoops. Now this is getting tricky. Am I going to regret doing this? Quite possibly, yes. Let's bring this over to here. Let's look at this from the front view. Let's bring this up so that it's actually going to be 1.5 millimeters up. Yes, I think this is going to be good. In fact, actually, I'm going to take it up 2 millimeters, and I'm going to change the height of that to be 1. And here's my thinking. I need to take it, sorry, down 0.5 millimeter. Bob. Now, if I bring that across, ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, top-down view. I'm regretting doing this now. Let's just drop that in. Come on, move. Move. Thank you. I've got to move it without it grabbing any of the other handles. Bring it to there. Now that, oh my goodness, that's just disappeared off the whole drawing area. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. I don't know what happened there, but that just was strange. Okay, again, when I was in this view here, when I was dragging it across, I must have caught another button so you can see this is going to be a pain here. Look, it's done the same thing. Ay, 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 ay. So I've got to zoom in here a lot so I can grab, there we go. Now, I've got to pan this across. Ay, ay, ay. Bring it into here. And then now if I select both of those and group it together, look, it's going to make a little indent. And that could be nice because it's sort of like the ball, I imagine, is going to then kind of like sit on that indent. And that's like, I've got a point. Okay, I'm suggesting we do an extruded cut like that rather than having the number kind of embossed coming out of the maze, because that could make like a little mini wall that the ball could get jammed on. So that's why I went through all that process there of trying to make it hollow, so it's going to like do a little indented cut into the thickness of the base. I still need to do these ramps here. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to start a new video for this. It's going to be right at the end. Let's just discuss this very, very quickly. It's going to be a ramp element. Notice I've still got 0.5mm snap grid here. I want to put that to 2, and I almost feel like deleting that and doing it again. I need to have a ramp element. That's easier. I need to have a block element. Okay, and if I select this model over here and I ungroup this, then you can see I've got my block and I've got my ramp. This block wants to be 10 by 10 by 10, and this ramp wants to be 24 by 10 by 12. So that when I put it together, there's a little 2mm kind of up step there, and then the 2mm thickness of the maze is going to kind of sit in that little cutout. Okay, I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to let you do that yourself. So I'm not going to say any more than that, but obviously that wedge needs some attention. And of course, in my maze, I have 2 wedges. One goes here, one goes here, so that you can see I've got one ramp where the ball can come off and another ramp where the ball can then, complete or inverse the maze process. That was my thinking. Good. I'm going to stop this video at this point, and the last thing I'm going to do is very quickly have a look here at the box.